Mankind has been dreaming for many years about the appearance of a perpetual motion machine, but so far such a machine can only be dreamed about. Or no? Let's find out. Attempts to create a perpetual motion machine have been made since ancient times, but only a few inventors managed to come close to creating such a device in one way or another. Many experts believe that the world's first perpetual motion machine that actually worked was invented by Soviet scientist Nurbay Julia. I'm talking about his super flywheel. You've all seen a flywheel at least once in your life. Many of you literally have a flywheel on your hand. Yes, I'm talking about the element of a wristwatch. You can also see a flywheel on the crankshaft of a car, or in the movie Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Remember that scene with Time Turner? Basically, a flywheel is a spinning wheel capable of continuing to spin long after it's been spun. A super flywheel is a similar device with a wheel at its core, but much more advanced. In 1964, Julia proposed the design of an incredible super flywheel, which would be placed in a vacuum casing or on magnetic suspensions. All of this was necessary in order to minimize frictional energy losses during the rotation of the device. The Soviet scientists created several variants of the super flywheel, the efficiency of which would reach 98%. In fact, this made the super flywheel a perpetual motion machine, because none of the engines that existed at the time had such efficiency. Julia's super flywheel could accumulate braking energy, be powered directly from the electric motor, and give back the accumulated inertia almost in full. This made the motor almost completely self-sufficient. Scientists believed that the modern version of Julia's engine would be able to provide a passenger car with 2 million kilometers of run. That is, with such an engine, it would be possible to make a round-the-world trip along the equator 50 times in a row. If, of course, roads across the seas and oceans were built. Of course, Julia's invention was not that great, but it was still an incredible breakthrough for its time. The Soviet scientist's super flywheel surpassed all the batteries that existed at the time. Julia's super flywheels passed several tests and were even installed in some cars. It would seem that the Soviet Union had a unique device, capable of becoming a world sensation and taking the country's industry to a whole new level. Add minimal costs and almost no damage to the environment to this, and you'll have a perfect device. However, it didn't go any further. Although Julia's invention was a breakthrough in many ways, it wasn't unique in its kind. There have been other attempts in history to create a perpetual motion machine. How did they end? Has anyone else managed to come as close as possible to create a device that would work eternally? Stay tuned to find out more. The best part's further. Bessler's wheel. The perpetual motion machine could have been created as early as the beginning of the 18th century, a credit to Johann Bessler. The wheel rotated on a thick axle. After launching the wheel, it was locked in a room and checked 2 weeks later. The engine wheel still rotated at the same speed. 2 more months later, the same thing happened again. At that point, Bessler became known all over Europe, which was the cause of his paranoia. He didn't want to reveal the secrets, carefully concealing the secrets, and only agreed to reveal them for huge sums of money. One day, Bessler even destroyed a wheel when one of the engineers came close to examine the mechanism properly. Cox's timepiece. James Cox went down in history as a London jeweler and a goldsmith, but beyond that, he's also known as the watchmaker who created something like a perpetual motion machine. Cox's timepiece was invented in 1774. As Cox said, his clock's engine was powered by a diamond, and the reduced internal friction, which was almost non-existent, ensured that the clock's materials would decay much slower than anyone had ever seen. Plus, the timepiece needed no manual winding. Simply put, they could tick eternally, operating on the perpetual motion machine principle. Clock was powered by changes in atmospheric pressure. If the column of mercury rose or fell inside the barometer, the movement of the mercury turned the internal wheels in the same direction, thus partially winding the clock. If the timepiece was wound continuously, the gears would come out of their slots until the chain loosened to a certain point. After that, everything would fall back into place and the clock would wind itself again. Karpin battery. In the 1950s, the Romanian engineer Nicolae Vasilescu Karpin invented an unusual battery. The reason it's unusual is at least because it still works today, representing a kind of perpetual motion machine. Scientists don't understand how the single-volt battery which Carpin created about 70 years ago, still functions, producing a stable voltage. Many scientists believe that once it becomes clear how exactly this battery works and what specific principles underlie it, we'll be able to create a full-fledged perpetual motion machine. Flood's water screw. Half scientist, half alchemist, Robert Flood described and invented various things in the 16th and 17th centuries AD. One of his inventions is considered a water screw, a kind of perpetual motion machine. It would grind the grain by constantly rotating under the action of recirculating water. The first woodcuts depicting such an idea appeared in 1660, after Flood's death. Scholars believe that the device itself did not fully work. On the other hand, Robert Flood's drawings are considered to be among the first designs for a perpetual motion machine. Theoretically, if we bring them to perfection, in today's realities, we can create an analog of the water screw, which will work almost eternally and significantly simplify the life of farmers, just as Robert Flood wanted. Actually, scientists believe that it's impossible to create a full-fledged perpetual motion machine because its operation would defy the laws of physics. But many theorists do not agree with this, and so does history. As you can see, many scientists have come as close as possible to creating something very similar to a perpetual motion machine or a device that would work for an incredibly long time. So why do such projects go awry? Are not realized in the end? Theorists believe that they're banned everywhere for various reasons, as it was with other technologies. Finally, I'll share with you some incredible technologies that have been banned. Orgone energy. About 90 years ago, the scientist Wilhelm Reich proposed the theory of orgone energy. As a psychoanalyst, he figured out that this energy fills the environment and is characterized by its blue color. The bottom line was that the ability to control the flows and extract this energy could completely change our world, since this source is at the core of all natural processes that exist in the world. Reich developed the orgone accumulator. This device consists of orgone mass and metal, with the layers alternating. The scientists believed that such an accumulator could attract energy from space and accumulate its flows. Orgone energy was studied by Reich in detail. He wrote many books on it and created quite a few accumulators that attracted and accumulated energy. Experiments were even conducted on energy management, but all this came to a halt after alternate medicine doctors began to be persecuted. Through a court of law, Reich was forbidden to operate and ordered to destroy all materials and data on orgone energy. Home nuclear power. We associate nuclear energy with something bad, and major disasters are the reason for that. You all know about Chernobyl and Fukushima disasters, but in fact, this energy has enormous potential. Plus, in the past, we almost had home or domestic nuclear power. With the ability to use nuclear power little by little, entire communities could get electricity for an extended period of time. When this technology was about to hit the market, investors suddenly lost interest, and the blueprints were lost. Meanwhile, the technology could have improved the world. The home nuclear facility could locate in a small shed in the middle of a city. It could become the energy center for the entire neighborhood, supplying power to several neighborhoods at once. Such a plant would provide people with endless electricity and save a lot of money. That's all, guys. What other banned technologies do you know about? Share them in the comments. Thanks for watching and see you later.